Okay. Okay, before I jump in to my 5-step high frequency healing system, I'm also going to don't worry, I'm going to get to all the hidden mistakes too. We're going to jump into the high frequency healing system. Let me first start with where it came from. All right. So in 2018, I probably shouldn't have brought up my slide right now. In 2018, I wrote my first book, Love Reiki Vibration. Maybe some of you read it. Oh, thank you, Jason. Yes. Yes. Um, this book kickstarted a lot of people's healing journeys. The book was written for my Reiki students, explaining my take on this amazing healing modality we call Reiki. Since I wrote that book, a lot has happened. In 2020, I opened up an education center. And as it stands today, we offer 23 different healing modality certifications. Now, when I opened the education center, I started exploring just about every healing modality I could and incorporated it into my own practice. So, over the last 5 years, I have stumbled across 4 healing practices. Well, many, but 4 healing practices that have rocked my world. Yes, rocked my world. When I use them all together, I have seen unbelievable transformations in clients that I have worked with, right? Now, let me just start off by saying that I love Reiki without being dramatic. If you read my book, Love Reiki Vibration, you know this already. Without being dramatic, it is what saved my life. It is my first love. However, it was created way back in the early 1900s. And we have evolved since then, and our healing practices have also evolved with the demands that we face in this new digital era, right? So, here are the healing practices that I have combined in a very specific framework that, again, I call high frequency healing. So, the first is dislodging suffering using weighted tuning forks. All right. So the tuning forks specifically dislodge suffering. I refer to it as suffering from the body. We're going to get into each one of these just a little bit. Zanjay. So Zanjay, using everything I've learned about the Akashic records, intuition, translation to establish a unique connection to our higher selves, our guides, right? I call this Zanjay. If Zanjay is the energy source, a transmission is the method of delivery. All right. In the context of spiritual work, a transmission is the process of transferring healing energy and higher consciousness from a practitioner to a recipient. All right. And then we also use a frequency device on the physical body that uses microcurrents through the medium of water. Right. And then this charges our cells, and it also helps to place us in a particularly during the session that allows our brain states to drop. Right. I'm going to talk about each one of these in a little bit more detail. Would you like that? Would you like that? Yes. Drop some emojis in the chat. I want to see you. I want to see you out there. Yes. Oh my God. Michelle is still dancing. Yes. Yes. All right, let's start here and talk about healing. Let's do that. You see my screen? Yes, you do. Okay. Healy delivers what I call a direct voltage injection. Now, there's no needles. Like, do not get scared when I say, I know Monica said, I'm scared. Direct voltage injection. Why do we need this? So, your cells are mini batteries. Illness occurs in the physical body when the voltage drops, right? Healthy cells vibrate at a frequency of about 70 to 90 millivolts. And when you drop below 50 millivolts, you enter the illness spectrum, right? When you drop below 15 millivolts, you start talking about serious disease. In fact, a cancerous cell's voltage is 15, sometimes people say 20 15 to 20 millivolts or below is what is considered a cancerous cell within the human body. Healy can not only detect these cells, but deliver specific microcurrent frequencies to your body and your bioenergetic field that are an exact match for what your body needs in that moment. In that moment. In that moment. This unwinds what is not in harmony with your natural high frequency state that is your birthright. So, as for brain states, while I passionately, if you know me, you know this, I passionately teach that lifestyle changes are essential for transformation, for lasting transformation. I have never found anything quicker at helping a client drop into alpha and theta brain states during a high frequency healing session than this microcurrent support known as Healy. Okay. Healy can deliver frequencies designed to mimic those states of meditation. This, hear this, this is a game changer because you can instantly access the receptive state of theta required to dislodge suffering and install a new frequency loop, right? What do I even mean by new frequency loop? Do you guys know what I mean by that? Yeah, I mean, we do. There's so much momentum going in this direction, and we need to install new frequency loops, and that happens in this theta brain state, right? As an energy healer, I don't believe this powerful tool is a replacement, Healy, for personal work, your client's personal work, but instead it's a companion and it acts as a jumper cable, right? Healy allows electricity to flow to weak cells, giving it enough power and boost to start the engine, right? To start the engine. All right. Yes. Oh, okay. I see some questions out there. Yes. You know what? After I get through the five, I'm going to open it up for questions and you can ask me whatever you want. Anything you want, I'm here. All right, let's jump into tuning forks. Through the work I have done over the last 15 years, working with thousands of clients, I have seen undeniable patterns of where specific forms of suffering is hiding within the body. Suffering is not random. It is an energetic signature and has a specific physical address within the body. Isn't that kind of cool? Yeah. As a high frequency healer, you are taught how to use this map of emotions to pinpoint and dislodge the suffering. For example, let me give you an example. Yes, the emotion of fear, which is the lowest level of emotion, accumulates in the kidneys, the deep primal center of our survival instincts. So, in traditional Chinese medicine, they link emotions to specific organs, and they also link this emotion of fear to the kidneys. I have a cool story to tell you. Share a cool story. Yes. A couple years ago, I was doing research for a book. I was co-authoring with like a group of 12 people. Side note, we used to co-author collaborative books with like 12 and everybody would write a chapter. So I was doing research for this book and I found out the organ that is needed most frequently for transplants are kidneys. What does that say about us energetically and emotionally? Isn't this very interesting that we're holding? Yes, exactly. Christine, exactly. We are holding fear, suffering, past traumas in our body, and it's affecting us physically, even if the trauma has happened in the past. All right. Now, compare this to the emotion of, let's say, apathy or lack of clarity. which is another form of suffering that we can hold in the body. This type of suffering usually settles into the legs, a heavy, stagnant energy that symbolically creates an inability to move forward. Now, Chris said, Chris said, I have this energy in my legs. You know what? But you're here. You're here. You're here, ready to move forward. And I don't know if you can see me, to stop hiding. Yes. In high frequency healing, we use the tuning forks to dislodge the suffering, not only where it is kept within the physical body, but where it is kept within the energetic body. All right. Another really cool thing, I'm not going to have time to go into this fully, but you know what? I'm going to at the end of the call, I'm going to drop this into the chat for you. Um, we view the 7 energy centers not as open or closed, but as measures of alignment with the higher self. All right. So when an energy center vibrates at a high energy frequency, you're in flow with your intended potential. I know you know this. You guys are all healers on this call, so you know this. When it registers as low energy, it is simply a signal that your physical experience, what I refer to as suffering, has not yet caught up to the greatest expansion of who you are meant to be in that area. The suffering, oh, if you can just like hear this, this is so big. The suffering that we're holding within the body from past contrast and trauma is the gap between your human form's current perception and the expansion of who you really are because of that, right? There is a more truthful view of your higher self than what you are allowing to be represented into the physical world. Ooh, that was so good. And when there is low energy in the chakra system, which is just, it's just a form of who we are energetically, that means you haven't caught up to that furthest expansion of who you truly are. So good. So good. Oh, I forgot. My next slide is I'm just going to share a little bit about those low energy chakras with you. Anybody want to see those? Yes. Yeah, I already see you. I see you. Yes. Chris, I see you. It's coming. Okay. Here's a list. You know what? Before I want to say one more thing about before I jump into this. We call tuning forks and the modality of tuning forks the most underrated healing modality. And the reason why is because it is going to entrain your body to those higher frequencies so that you can then dislodge this suffering within the body forever. Forever. Now, we have lots of layers. We're like onions. So when you dislodge suffering, there is other suffering within the body, but that specific suffering can be gone forever. And you can catch up with that furthest expansion of yourself. All right, back to the low energy chakras. Here's a list on your screen of your 7 energy centers and their associated expression. So, root energy center is associated with transformation, sacral creation, solar plexus celebration, heart illumination, throat conversation, third eye perception, and crown connection. Let me give you one example. I don't have time to go into all of them, but I'm going to give you one. Root energy symbolizes transformation and high frequency healing. With your connection to the world, it represents your foundation of stability, security, and your connection to the physical changes necessary for growth for you. Okay. Low energy, or what we refer to as this suffering, shows up usually when you are currently undergoing a period of intense growth and transformation. The So as a healer, I'm just like going to call this out right now. As a healer, because all of you on this call and watching this are healers, it's very possible that as you were growing and healing, your root was in a chronic state of low energy. The low energy is the friction of your physical self resisting or being slow to catch up with the furthest great expansion of who you have already become at a soul level. I wish I had time to go through all of these because it's one of my favorite. The way in which we interpret chakras and high frequency healing is very different and very unique, and one of my favorite pieces. And really, honestly, one of the pieces that resonates most with my clients. All right, as I promised, I am going to drop the link to those shot. If you're VIP, you already got it. If you were already signed up for VIP, you already got this. But I'm gonna drop it at the end of this masterclass. I'm gonna drop that file into chat so you guys can have it. You're welcome. You're welcome, Mark. Yes, you're welcome. Okay, yeah. Monica's saying she's VIP. I know you are VIP. Yes, she's already seen it. I know you it is. What can you just drop in the chat really quick? What was your biggest aha about that document? Mm, the the throat. Yes. Okay. The throat because okay, I'm going to paraphrase what you're saying, what you're typing in. For anyone watching this on YouTube or watching the replay, the throat, because normally we associate the throat with not communicating our truth into the world, but the little add-on here in high frequency healing is it's about conversation and having to have conversations with other people. And one of those things is having a conversation with yourself because the stories in which you're telling yourself are not of advantage to you and they're not true. Just like number one, hidden mistake. You are hiding because you think other people can do it better than you, or there's not enough people out into the world that want to experience who you are and your healing. And it's just not true because remember, this industry is just absolutely huge at $9 trillion. Yes. Okay. Thank you for that. Yes. You're, yes, I paraphrased. Yes. Okay. All right. Where are we at here? I got sidetracked. I got super excited. All right. Let's go on to the next, which is Zanjay, which is honestly when people read my book, High Frequency Healing, they have the most questions about Zanjay. So let's pull that up. Let's see. Okay. Here's what I want to say about Zanjay. Through years of channeling, teaching, and seeking the quickest routes to healing, a specific energetic signature emerged from my work. And I now call this signature energy Zanjay. And what it means is to soothe or assuage. At its core, Zanjay is a form of high frequency life force energy, just like Reiki, right? Similar concepts like prana or chi, but with a unique function. What is the unique function of Zanjay? It is fundamentally connected to a broader eternal perspective. When Zanjay is called upon, you are essentially channeling this vast, loving, and neutral eternal perspective. This perspective offers wisdom and insight that transcends any limitations of the current moment or the individual ego, helping to address root causes of imbalance through a place of clarity and support. While Zanjay is a universal energy, the way it manifests and it's used is highly personal and unique. Zanjay becomes a unique energy based on the individual who is calling it forward to use, and that would be you or your client. The energy is filtered and directed by the practitioner's intention, awareness, and unique energetic signature. Did you know that we all have a unique energetic signature, right? Sometimes we explore this through personality profiles, through human design. We each have a unique energetic signature, and so does your clients. So this means that Zanjay channeled for a specific client or situation will carry a unique resonance and focus tailored instinctively to the needs of that moment. Not only that person, but that person in that moment. Because can we all acknowledge that we all have different needs in different moments? And you've probably noticed this with your clients that I am right now in this moment energetically different than I was an hour ago, than I was last night, than I was 2 days ago, right? Our frequency is continuously in flux. I always say it's not a college degree. You don't get a high frequency and then have it forever. It's always in flux. So you're not just, here's what I want to say about Sanjay. You're not just transmitting like this general, generic force. You're acting as a clear channel for this broader wisdom to express itself in a personalized, healing way. The name Zanjay, okay, here's what I want to say about Zanjay. It acts as a vibrational placeholder or an access key to the energy, even though the true nature of the broader eternal perspective is ultimately beyond any single word. So I think it's important to remember that when we're talking about Reiki or Zanjay or life force energy or chi or prana. It's they talk about it in the book The Tao. Do you guys love The Tao, the book of the Tao? My favorite spiritual text. But they talk about it, how you can't place words on certain things because now you've just diminished it. So we've selected the word Zanjay, but that's just a placeholder. And all of this work really came about through the work of the Akashic records. So earlier I mentioned there are 4 things that just like out of all the things I've learned over the last 15 years, 4 things have shook me to my core and really taken those 4 things and created this high frequency healing. And one is the Akashic records, right? And seeing through the eternal broader perspective. When I've worked with hundreds of clients giving Akashic record readings or in my healing sessions. And so that's what Zanjay allows you to do. All right. You guys still with me? Drop me an emoji. Give me a wave. Do a little dance. Okay. Get up. If you're watching this on YouTube, like get up. Say I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. All right. Let's now talk about transmissions. I love all these topics so much, but this is one of my favorite. I said this earlier, I'm going to say it again. If Zanjay is the energy source, right, the life force energy, a transmission is the delivery method of that energy source, right? In the context of spiritual work, a transmission is the process of transferring healing energy and higher consciousness from a practitioner to a client, a recipient, another person. So think of it as teaching without words or healing without words, which, by the way, words and conversations can be extremely healing, but these transmissions are like, oh, my hand was up, waving. I love how it does that now. Imagine a tuning fork when you strike it. It vibrates at a very specific frequency. If you bring another tuning fork close to it, the second one will begin to vibrate at the same frequency. It's a process called entrainment, right? I know a lot of sound healers out there, right? Sorry, I keep getting distracted by the chat because you guys are just like so going crazy out there, and I appreciate it. A spiritual transmission works in this similar way, okay? The practitioner who is attuned. Let me just step back because I'm starting to get excited. I want to like make sure this is very clear for you guys. A spiritual transmission works in a similar way of two tuning forks attuning to each other. The practitioner, who is attuned to the high frequency energy of Zanjay, acts as the first tuning fork, and the recipient, your client, the other person, through their openness and intention, begins to resonate with the same healing frequency. Did you hear that? Because that was big. Hope you're writing that down. In the high frequency healing method, we connect with the potent frequencies of Zanjay through the Akashic records, operating directly within the quantum field where time collapses and energy instantly informs matter. All right. If you're into Dr. Joe, you've heard some of this terminology before. Yes, Dr. Joe Dispenza. I'm just saying, yes. Anyone been? Yes. Jason has been to Dr. Joe. I knew that about you, Jason. I knew that. When we first met, you would always tell me about Dr. Joe. I love that. All right. Back, back to the task at hand. In the high frequency healing method, we connect with the potent frequencies of Zanjay through the Akashic records and operate directly within the quantum field where time collapses and energy instantly informs matter. Transmissions act as a catalyst for profound shifts. Over the last 2 decades, working with thousands of clients and students, I've seen three things show up in almost every session, and I call them the three human myths. Each of the three transmissions that you learn in the high frequency healing framework addresses one of these three human myths. All three transmissions are used in a session with the client, and I have never seen quicker progress with my clients than when I use these transmissions. Again, it's also like peeling back the onions. Like I have clients that see me every other week, and we are using these same transitions, working on different yet similar things. All right. Let me give you a quick peek at the three human. I'm going to take down my slides very soon, and we're going to jump into the mistakes right after this. I'm not going to, I think you can see them on my slides. I'm not going to read through this. Sorry, technology. Myth number one is I am alone and unsupported. And we have a transmission. The three transmissions, just very briefly, is one transmission is given on the left side of the body using your hand in the client's hand. The other is, I'm sorry, the first is on the right side of the body. And it is more about the connection with your higher self. All right. It's feeling the love of who you really are. It's when you feel separated from your source. And it's even more than that, feeling separated from your source. If I can just really articulate this in a way, it's not realizing how brilliant you are, not realizing who you really are, not realizing that you are whole, healed, and perfect. That is the right side. The left side is this myth, I am separate from others. This is actually one of my favorite. This is my favorite part of the work, I would think. We call this the unraveling knot, and we use the left hand for this. The belief that others can harm, betray, or block our growth. And there's this beautiful process that happens. Before I get to the third transmission, I'm just going to throw this out there too, is that I actually host group high frequency healing sessions. And I know this is going to sound weird, probably not to you guys, because you guys are all healers and you get this. Sometimes those group high frequency healing sessions are more powerful than the individual sessions. And maybe because we grow, growth is messy and we grow in groups and it's just very powerful. But these transmissions can absolutely be delivered in a group session, whether it's in person or online. And we get into that during the certification. Myth number three, I am incomplete and must strive to become whole. it kind of goes back to just our mistake number one, hiding because you don't realize how magnificent you are. But more than anything, what I want to say about the third transmission is I'm actually going to pull this down, stop sharing. It's time. It's time. I hope you can see me now. More than anything, the third transmission is what I like to call a reboot. So, and the analogy I like to use is like with your computer. So, if you're having issues with your computer or your phone, has anyone, ooh, here's my phone, has anyone done like a forced shutdown on their phone and it reboots, but the software installs and now this new software installs and you can be a different person. And that's kind of how the third transmission works. It is almost like what we already talked about. It's bringing you to the furthest expansion of who you are. And it's the last thing you do in a session. So, if there are some Reiki practitioners on the call, what I'll kind of associate it with is like how you seal a session using a specific symbol. This is a transmission that is giving you the powerful upgrade so that you can catch up with the highest expanded version of yourself. Again, we use transmissions to entrain the person we are working with to let go of these myths, these false beliefs, and return to who they really are, which is whole, healed, and perfect.